As another example, let's go ahead and consider this statement. If n is an odd integer, then n squared is odd over here. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to define P to be the statement n is an odd integer, and Q to be the statement n squared is an odd integer. Now I'm being a little bit sloppy here because technically these are not actual propositions because they have variables inside them, but I really wanted to give you a motivation about the power behind looking at an implication in terms of its contrapositive right here. So since we haven't introduced predicates quite yet, what we are going to do is just pretend that these are propositions right here as is. So if you wanted to, you could think of this n right here as having some specific value, let's say 13. So if I did that, I could take this English sentence right here and I could translate this using these variables, and it would say, if P, then Q. So P implies Q. But I know that this is logically equivalent to the contrapositive. So this is logically equivalent to not Q implies not P. And that actually gives me another way that I could write down this English sentence right here. So I know this here is P, and that right there is Q. So if I took not Q, n is not an odd integer, that means it's an even integer. And not Q over here, n squared is not odd, that means it's even. A logically equivalent way to say this sentence right here would be, if not Q, so if n squared is an even, because I took the not right there, then not P. Well, this is P, so if I took a not, that would mean it's an even integer. And I know that this particular English expression right here and this particular English sentence right here are completely logically equivalent to each other, because I know that this implication is logically equivalent to its contrapositive. And it's actually pretty cool because it's not immediately obvious that this mathematical claim right here is completely identical and logically equivalent to this mathematical claim right here. And so hopefully this gives you kind of an example of how interpreting things in terms of contrapositives can give you a different way to look at a claim or an English sentence and to rewrite it into a fashion that might make it a little bit easier to interpret.